Hello everyone. Previously, we had seen the concepts of potential, right? In the previous class, we had seen the concept of potential, that is actually the scalar electric potential. And when we discussed potential, we spoke about the potential at a point with respect to some reference point, right? So that is actually a relative potential. What we spoke was a relative potential with respect to something, with respect to a reference point. Yeah, we said VAB is the potential at the point A with reference to the point B, right? Uh, so when we discuss this, we also call this the potential difference. The same scalar electric potential, we also define it as the potential difference, right? Then we also saw the concept of potential gradient. We have proved that the electric field intensity is equal to the negative potential gradient, and we have seen the equations for the potential gradient in all the three coordinate systems, right? So there is one more topic which was left out, that is actually the absolute potential. Okay, the absolute potential. So as I said, what we saw was a relative potential, the potential at any point with respect to some reference point. Okay, so when we say absolute potential, it is actually the potential at a point with respect to a reference point whose potential is zero. Okay, whose potential is zero. So this zero reference potential, okay, zero reference point is actually what you consider as the ground voltage, right? In circuit theory, you call the same thing as the ground, that is the zero reference point. Here we call it the absolute potential. The potential with respect to that zero reference point, we call it the absolute potential. The absolute potential at any point, suppose the point is A, the absolute potential at that particular point is indicated as VA. Okay, the potential at potential difference between 2 points, the potential between 2 points A and B, we express it as VAB, that is VA minus VB. This is potential difference between 2 points A and B. We can express this as VAB, that is VA minus VB. So VAB have got the formula, right? That is minus of integration of E dot dl from A to B. So from B to A, sorry. This VAB, it can also be expressed as VA minus VB, where VA is the absolute potential of the point A and VB is the absolute potential at the point B. When you say absolute potential, it is the potential at the point A with respect to the reference point whose potential is zero. Okay, so that is what VA and VB are absolute potentials at these points, VA and VB, sorry, A and B respective. Okay, so that's about the absolute potential. Here the reference that you're taking, that reference is zero, so that's why it is VA and VB. So next topic that we have is the potential field of a point charge. So just like we have found the force due to point charge, electric field intensity due to point charge, we're also going to find the potential due to the point charge. So consider we have a point charge Q, which is placed at the origin in the sense its coordinates are 0, 0, 0. You can take O as the origin, which is 0, 0, 0. We are placing a point charge Q coulombs, okay, at this particular origin. So because of this point charge, there is a field around it, right? So we are going to find the potential due to that point charge. So consider there are 2 points in the same field, which are A and B. A is at a distance of RA from the origin. B is at a distance of RB from the origin. So we have indicated the coordinates as R theta phi, RA theta A phi A, RB theta B phi B. So this is in spherical coordinates. Okay, R theta phi will be in spherical coordinate systems. So there are 2 points A and B which are at a distance of RA and RB from the origin. Then we consider that a unit positive charge is moving from B to A. Okay, a unit positive charge is moving from B to A, not A to B. It is moving from B to A along an arbitrary path DL, that is as shown in this diagram. So from B to A, it is moving along this path. This path you can take as DL, right? So because of this charge Q, that unit positive charge will have some, there is some potential, right? There is some potential which is felt. Because of this charge, there is some electric field intensity that is there right? That is there in the field. So what you can see is in spherical coordinates, we have dl, or the length. It can be written as drar, r d theta a theta, plus r sin theta d phi a phi. We have seen this while seeing the dl in all the three coordinate systems, right? You can take this as equation number 1. So suppose, consider the unit positive charge at the point P. That charge is moving from B to A in some path like this. So at this particular point P, if the unit positive charge is at this particular point P, which is at a distance of R from this charge Q, that is from the origin, it is at a distance of R, then the electric field intensity at this particular point P, due to the point charge R, it is given as ER into AR. Okay, E can be given as ER into AR. It is actually having all the three components, ER AR plus E theta A theta plus E phi A phi. Since we consider only radial component, so we write only ER into AR. The theta and phi components will be 0. Since E has only radial component, we can take E is equal to ER into AR. This you can take as equation number 2. Okay, so the potential difference between A and B, the potential difference between A and B, that is given by VAB using this equation, that is minus of integration of E dot dl from B to A. Now in place of E, you substitute this ERAR. In place of dl, you substitute this. You know, what do you get then? In place of E, we substitute ERAR. In place of dl, we substitute DRAR, R d theta A theta plus R sin theta d phi A phi. So since there is only AR component, only the AR components will remain. The A theta and A phi component in E is 0. That's why they will be 0. So what remains is ER into DR. That's all, right? ER into DR. That's why it is integration of minus integration of ER into DR from points B to A. So since it is with respect to R, at the point B, R, that is the distance, radial distance, that is equal to RB. At the point A, the radial distance is RA. That's why you have to take the upper limit and lower limit of the integrations as RB and RA. So apply the formula for E. E is actually due to a point charge. The electric field intensity due to point charge is given by Q divided by 4 pi epsilon R square, right? Electric field intensity is Q divided by 4 pi epsilon R square into AR cap. We are taking only the magnitude of it. AR cap is the direction. We need only ER, that is scalar component of it, that is Q divided by 4 pi epsilon R square with respect to R. So if you integrate this, what do you get? Yeah, you can keep Q divided by 4 pi epsilon outside the integration because this is not related to R anyway. So what remains inside the integral is 1 by R square. What is integration of 1 by R square? What is the integration of 1 by R square with respect to R? What is integration of 1 by R square with respect to R? Minus 1 by R, right? Integration of 1 by R square with respect to R is minus 1 by R. That's why we have minus 1 by R. Limits are from RB to RA, right? Lower limit is RB, upper limit is RA. Substitute the limits. Upper limit is RA minus 1 by RB. If you apply, multiply this, Q divided by 4 pi epsilon into minus into minus is plus, minus into minus is plus, into minus is minus. So 1 by RB, 1 by RA minus 1 by RB. So this is the potential due to a point charge, potential field due to a point charge. So suppose the point B is kept at infinity. Suppose the point B is kept at infinity. This is potential due to a point charge between the points A and B, okay, with a finite distance. Suppose the point B is kept at infinity, okay, so then RB will be infinite. And if you consider V is equal to 0 at infinity, if you consider any potential as 0 at any point, then the potential, whatever you're finding, that will be the absolute potential. Now, if B is kept at infinity, and if you consider V is equal to 0 at infinity, then whatever the value of V or the potential that you get at the point A will be the absolute potential at the point A, right? So that is VA. You can take it as absolute potential VA, that is Q divided by 4 pi epsilon into 1 by RA minus RB will be infinity. So you take this as infinity. What is 1 divided by infinity? It is 0, right? So what remains is just Q divided by 4 pi epsilon RA. Okay, so this is the potential due to a point charge at the point A. If you remove this subscript A, if you remove that subscript, you will get V is equal to Q divided by 4 pi epsilon R. Instead of A, VA and R, if I simply write V, that is equal to Q divided by 4 pi epsilon R. So this gives the potential at any point, which is at a distance of R from a point charge Q at the origin. If Q is kept at the origin, and if you want to find the potential at any point, which is at a distance of R from the origin, so this is the equation for that particular potential. If you consider the free space or vacuum as the medium, then this epsilon will become epsilon naught. Okay. Otherwise, epsilon is epsilon naught into epsilon R, where epsilon is relative permittivity of the medium. Okay. So this is the expression for potential due to a point charge. So next topic that we have in this module is regarding current and current density. Okay, regarding current and current density. So we have seen the concept of charges, right? So what is current actually? So whenever the charges move, right? So the charges in motion, they constitute a current. Okay, the electric charges in motion constitute a current. So the unit of current is, it is amperes, indicated as capital A, right? Amperes. And ampere, 1 ampere, it is defined as rate of movement of charge passing a given reference point of 1 coulomb per second, right? So it is rate of movement of charge passing a given reference point of 1 coulombs per second. So that is 1 ampere. So the symbol for current is I, capital I, right? I, rate of movement of charge per second, right? So it is differentiation of charge with respect to time. So it is dq by dt, right? So rate of movement of charge per second. So that's why it is per time, charge per time. That is dq by dt. So actually the unit has to be coulombs per second, right? Coulombs per second. The other way you represent the same thing is ampere. Okay, ampere is nothing but some coulombs per second. So what we are interested in this particular subject, that is field theory or electromagnetics, we are usually interested in things that are occurring at a particular point, right? At a particular point rather than the entire region. Okay, so that's why more important than current, for us, more important than current is what we call the current density. So what is current density? So current density is current crossing a certain area, right? Current crossing a unit surface area is called the current density. The current divided by area will give you the current density. Okay, so it is indicated by J, capital J, vector J. So what we have to remember is the current is a scalar quantity, whereas current density is a vector quantity. Okay, so because we are considering current crossing a unit surface area and the area is treated as a vector. So unit for current density is ampere per meter square. Current is amperes, area is meter square. So unit current density unit is area, amperes per meter square. So suppose we will consider there is an elemental current, or you can call it a incremental current delta I. Okay, delta I is an incremental current, which is a small amount of current. It is crossing a small surface delta S, an incremental surface delta S. So if delta I is crossing a surface delta S, then the current density is given by delta I divided by delta S. And that current density will be normal to the surface. It will be in the direction that is normal to the surface area delta S. So you use this subscript N. So Jn will be equal to delta I divided by delta S. So if the direction is not normal, current, it need not be normal to the direction always. So if it is not normal, we will consider the vector J will be equal to delta I divided by vector delta S. Okay, so what you can write is, we want delta I. So if you take delta S to the other side, so we will get J dot delta S. Delta I will be equal to J dot delta S. So what we can see, this will be a dot product of two vectors. That will be a scalar quantity, right? Okay, this you can take as equation number 2. So this is the incremental current. If you want to find the total current, you need to take the integration on both the sides. If you integrate both the sides, you get I that is equal to, yeah, integration of delta I is I, then integration of this with respect to the surface, integration of j dot ds. So delta s I can convert, while taking integration as ds. So this is actually the current in terms of the current density and the surface area. So equation for I will be equal to j dot ds. Okay. So yeah, what, as I said, current I will be a scalar quantity, whereas current density J is a vector quantity. So apart from this, we can also represent current as in terms of velocity. Okay, velocity of the volume charge density at a particular point. So consider an element of charge that is delta q. Okay, element of charge that is delta q, which is actually rho v into delta v. So current volume charge density is rho v, which is given by charge divided by volume. If charge is delta q and volume is delta v, rho v is delta q divided by delta v. From this we can write delta q as rho v into delta v. So is it right? Delta q is rho v into delta v. So that's why I written this. Delta q is rho v into delta v. What is delta v? Delta v is the volume, an incremental volume. Volume is equal to the product of all the three edges or all the three uh, lengths, right? So delta, if it is three dimensions, it is delta x into delta y into delta z. Suppose you have something like this, where it is volume charge, sorry, where it is a volume charge which has one surface as delta S and the other parameter is delta L. So the volume delta V can be given as delta S into delta L, right? So volume can be given as delta S into delta L. So that's why we can write in place of delta V as delta S into delta L. This is because delta V is equal to delta S into delta L. Delta S will give you surface area of this particular surface multiplied by delta L will give you the volume of this entire volume charge. Okay, suppose this is the thing. Okay, this is the thing that we have, that is the element of charge whose density is rho v. Okay, and volume is delta v. That's why element of charge delta q will be equal to rho v into delta v. You can express that as rho v into delta s into delta l. Now, suppose we are going to assume, just for the sake of simplicity, we are going to assume that this element of charge is oriented with its edges parallel to the coordinate axis. That means this edge is parallel to x axis, this edge is parallel to y axis, and this edge is parallel to the z axis. Okay, and we will assume that it has only x component of velocity. It has only x component of velocity means it is moving only in the x direction. Okay, so what this actually means is it is moving only in the x direction. So it need not move like that. It can move in any direction in space. Just for the case of simplicity, we are considering that it is moving only in the x direction. So it has got only x component of velocity. Now, in the time interval t, okay, the element of charge has moved a distance of x as indicated in this figure B. Okay, suppose that charge which was at this particular position, it is moving in the x direction. X direction means it is coming in front of your screen. Okay, it is moving in front of your screen by a small distance delta x, by a small distance delta x in the time interval t. In time interval t, it has moved by a distance of delta x. Then what happens if it is moved by distance of delta x? Okay, in place of delta L, I can write delta x. So I can write delta q as rho v into delta s into delta x. In place of delta L, I have written delta x because it has moved by that particular distance in time t. Now it is moved through a reference plane perpendicular to the direction of motion in a time increment of delta t. Okay, so we can take the current as delta q divided by delta t. Current is delta q divided by delta t, that is equal to delta I. Now, what is delta q? This particular thing. Delta q is rho v into delta s into delta x. So, in place of delta q, I will substitute rho v into delta s into delta x divided by delta t. So, if I write it like this, rho v into delta s multiplied by delta x by delta t, this thing delta x by delta t indicates the change in the position in the x direction with respect to time. Change in the position with respect to time is nothing but the velocity, right? This is nothing but the velocity. So we can represent this as Vx because it is velocity in x direction. So velocity in x direction is Vx, that is delta x by delta t. It is the x component of the velocity V. It is x component of velocity V. V is a vector. Okay, you should not confuse this V with your volume V. Okay, so we will treat this, I have written it in bold because it is a vector. Now, if we are interested to find the current density, right? What is current density? Current density is delta I divided by delta S, current per area. If I take delta S to this side, you will get delta I by delta S. That will be equal to rho V into Vx. And this thing will be actually the current density in the X component of current density because we have only the X term there. So in terms of current density, delta I by delta S is a rho V into Vx. So this you can write as Jx because it has only the X component. In general, if you want to write, you can take vector J is equal to rho V into velocity V. Okay, rho v into velocity v. So this you can take as equation number 4, which indicates that the charges in motion constitute a current. So what you can see, rho v indicates charge density, right? That are the charges, and v indicates the velocity. That means there is some motion, right, at a certain speed or at a certain velocity. So the charges in motion, that constitutes the current. Okay, so this kind of current is called the convection current, and the current density J because of this convection current is called the convection current density. Okay, so what we observe is the current density or the convection current density is not just related to the charge density, but also it is related to the velocity. Okay, the current density is related linearly to charge density as well as to velocity. Okay, so that's the relation between the current density and the velocity of the charges. Okay, so next topic that we have is, see, on all these equations, there are numerical examples. We'll be solving them soon. Next topic that we have, this is one of the very important equations, very important question from the point of examination also. It's called the continuity equation, or the concept of continuity of current. Okay, so the continuity equation, it is based on the principle of conservation of charges. So what is the principle of conservation of charge? Just like principle of conservation of energy, there is principle of conservation of charge, which states that charges can neither be created nor destroyed. Okay, so although equal amounts of positive and negative charge may be simultaneously created or obtained by separation or lost by recombination. Okay, that means no charges can be created or no charges can be destroyed, but there can only be uh, change in the positions of the charges, of the positive and negative charges. They may be simultaneously created. That means if positive charges are created, then equal number of negative charges have to be created. Okay, then they can be obtained by separation or they are lost by recombination. So we will understand this when we try to consider it in the case of the continuity of current. Let us consider a region that is bounded by a closed surface in all the directions, which is closed, a region which is closed in all the directions, so by a closed surface. The current through the closed surface, it can be treated as I. That is equal to integration of j dot ds. I is integration of j dot ds, where ds is s is the closed surface, so we are taking it over integration over closed surface. It is closed surface integral of j dot ds. Okay, this you can take as equation number 1. So what this indicates is through the closed surface from the region, the charges are moving outside. Okay, so when we consider charges in our case, we are considering the positive charges. Okay, there are positive charges which are moving outside through the closed surface. So from the principle of conservation of energy, sorry, principle of conservation of charge. So if the charges are moving out, if the charges are moving out, that means there is a decrease of positive charge within the closed surface. There is a decrease of positive charge within the closed surface. So if the charge inside the closed surface is Qi, you indicate the charge inside the closed surface as Qi, that is Q charges inside. Then the rate of decrease, you can treat it as dqi divided by dt. Dqi divided by dt is the change in the charge with respect to time, okay, rate of change of the charges, and you will indicate it as minus dqi divided by dt. Minus indicates it is decrease in the number of charges with respect to time. Okay, so since the current is moving outside the closed surface, there is a decrease in the number of charges, positive charges within the closed surface, right? That decrease in the positive charges within the closed surface, the rate of that we will treat as minus dqi by dt. So from the principle of conservation of charge, this outward flow will be balanced by this change in the charges inside. That's why integration of j dot ds will be equal to minus dqi divided by dt. Okay, integration of j dot ds will be equal to minus dqi divided by dt. So this is actually the continuity equation itself, but this is in the integral form. Okay, so this equation is called the integral form of continuity equation, which is integration of j dot ds is equal to minus dqi divided by dt. Now what we will do is we will use our divergence theorem. What is divergence theorem? We know closed surface integral of any vector is equal to the volume integral of its divergence. So mathematically, if you want to write, integration of j dot ds over the closed surface S is equal to integration of del dot j dv. So in place of this, I can write integration of del dot j dv. And one more thing is qi. What is this qi? Qi is the charge that is equal to integration of rho v into dv. This is again obtained from the same concept as rho v is dq divided by dv, or dq is rho v into dv, right? So then what is q? We have to integrate this, integration of rho v into dv. That's why qi is integration of rho v into dv with respect to volume. So I will substitute it, this 3 and 4 in equation number 2. What do you get? In place of integration of j dot ds, I can write integration of del dot j dv as in this, minus d by dt of qi. Qi is integration of rho v into dv, right? So if you are treating the surface is constant, then instead of derivation, we can take partial derivation. Okay, so this derivative can be taken as the partial derivatives, and it will go inside the integral. Instead of outside the integral, this will become inside the integral, and it will become dou by dou t. Instead of d by dt, we will take it as partial derivative, and we will treat it as dou by dou t of rho v into dv. Now what you observe is the integrations with respect to volume, they are constant, which means the integrands or the terms inside the integral have to be equal. Sorry, if the integrations are equal, then the terms inside the integration, they have to be equal. That's why del dot j will be equal to minus dou rho v divided by dou t, right? So this is a very important equation in the concept of current, that is called the continuity equation in point. Okay, the previous equation what we saw is also the continuity equation. In some places, we are going to use this equation, which is the integral form of the continuity equation. So this is called the differential form or the point form, where we have in terms of del, right? So that is point form of the continuity equation. Okay, so with this, I have completed all the concepts in the second module, where we have seen started from the Gauss's law and divergence theorem, right, and all that, Maxwell's first equation. And the second part we had energy expended, right? Then work done, the line integral, then potential difference, potential gradient, and this particular thing, current and current density. Okay, so there are actually what is more important is how you apply this in particular cases while solving the numerical examples. So hopefully in the next week we will start the offline classes. So all of you will be coming to college, and we will solve these problems in the class. Okay, we'll stop the class for today.